Oh God, that's good. Hi guys, we're back from LS Fest and we just got our car back from paint. So we're gonna do something new. B58, E46, Link ECU. Let's go. Our E46 got painted with Steal It by Josh and Ray. Did a really good job. Thanks to Everlast for their rust remover, their laser welder. We were able to get rid of all the rust, and then Josh and Ray came in here and just cleaned it all up.
That's wild. Like all that etching you saw from the laser on there, now just like one coat of Steal It, you can't see none of that etching on there anymore. Everything laid down super smooth. And I think they did partially rattle can and partially out of a spray gun, and like you can't even tell the difference. Like the Steal It stuff just blends together so well. If you have little nicks, like you put your harness off and end up chipping your door bar or something like that, touch it up and you'll never even know it happened. It's not like a regular aerosol can where you get all of that like frosted blowout on it. Like everything lays down super smooth and blends together really nice.
And we're gonna take to our messages. We've got a lot of messages. Nobody wants to see us put a 2J in a car. So we're gonna do something different. Do something very different. We're gonna put a BMW motor in a BMW.
Who would have thought? Who saw it coming?
Yeah, never would have seen that one coming. So we're gonna do something different. A lot of people have actually asked us to do this in our video comments when we asked what kind of motor we should put in our next car. So we're doing it. We got ourselves a B58 Gen 2.
And although we're just starting this project now, this has been on the development back burner for a while. So the mounts and all that other stuff have been getting put together for both E36 and E46 chassis. And we've just been finding the right time to release it once we get a little bit of stuff. And now with like Link and everybody coming out with new ECUs that are able to control direct injection, affordable ones, instead of like a $10,000, $15,000 ECU that you need to run the injector drivers for DI. Now Link's coming out with more affordable options, so we're going to work with them, and they're going to come here and help us wire this thing once we get it all sorted out.
They're going to teach us the cheat codes to direct injection. It's going to be awesome.
Because for those of you who have been around long enough for our N54 endeavors, we got rid of DI on that and ran it port injection only, and we had a lot of issues keeping our engines alive because DI engines need DI to actually keep the pistons cool enough to not just grenade them. So we're getting there. We're getting there. With technology, there's progress.
So for you guys that like the E46, but you want a little older model, you guys are, maybe like Joel, you have your Superior chassis, your E36, we thought about you. We didn't leave you out. We also developed mounts for the E36. So if you want a B58 and you want to put it in your E36, we have the option here. Comes with the engine mounts and everything. So it'll just bolt right up and go right into your E36. And it fits really well. I mean, come look at the turbo side of this, Joel. Look at how much room there is. It's beautiful. All of you guys who know about turbos know they get hot, so the more room you have for them, the better. That airflow through it. So that's wonderful. Fits stock everything. Yeah. Now we're going to take and put this into this because we developed them both at the same time. Did this one first and then put it in the E36, and this left it in there for us for transportation purposes. So now we're going to rip it out of here, put it into this E46 because this is Adam's E46. So this will be one of his new cars that we're building for him. So it'll be the Adams Link E46 B58.
Yep, and just like the N54 car, we are going to beat this thing until we find out what's going to break and what's not going to break.
We're going to do the research for you.
Yeah.
Beat the hell out this car and show you how good it is. Could have painted the engine bay, but we didn't plan for it. We didn't have time, and we wanted to cut out stuff. But we also wanted to make it so if you have a stock car, look, it still fits in here. So we left all of the stuff that we usually cut out that we don't like, and we're going to leave it all in there for you to show that everything fits in a stock E46. And then we might rip it out afterwards. Everything I know about the B58. So Joel wants me to tell you everything I know about the B58, and this sums it up. My girlfriend drives one. And it comes in a new Toyota Supra. Yeah. It comes in a 340. It comes in the X7 M package.
It comes in the
X5 M package.
Yeah. So the motors are abundant. They have a Gen 1 and a Gen 2. They good power out of the box, simple tuning and stuff. Even with stock ECU, you can do stuff if you feel like going crazy and trying to make the stock ECU stuff work. But, you know, we're gonna try and explore all of the options of it. This one is this a Gen 1 or a Gen 2?
Gen 2.
So this is a Gen 2.
This is the good one.
Yeah.
Gen 1's good too, but you want the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is the same one that's in the Toyota Supra, and they've been known to be able to get downpipes and a tune, and you get, what, 700?
No.
So what is it? What do they do to it for the Supra?
Downpipe and a tune, I think you get like 400 and some change.
That comes stock 400.
With the motor, maybe.
Okay. So 400 to the wheels
Yeah.
with the downpipe.
Well, they make like the pure turbo upgrades, which are just like a replacement cartridge that you keep the stock manifold, and yeah, then you can make like 500, 600, 700 horsepower.
700. Okay,
E85
so
blend, you know,
cartridge.
upgrading your lift pump. Don't quote me on that. We don't deal with a lot of new cars, obviously, but we're gonna figure out a little bit more about what it takes to make small amounts of power versus big amounts of power, and how easy that is with, you know, the stock turbo. See how far we can push that, how far we can push an upgraded turbo, how far we push the stock injectors, what we do for lift pump, how much E85 it can handle, you know, all that fun stuff we figure out the hard way.
Yeah. So you don't have to.
Yeah. We'll
Make
blow
it easy for you. Yeah, we'll blow it up for you. Or Adam will blow it up for you.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
I think any drifter's good at blowing up motors.
And let's see.
Saw that this weekend at LS Fest.
B58s are not like N54s. They have an actual lift hook. They don't have the spot that threads in your tow hook. So we got one there, and we got a big hole in the block back here. So that's already a nice thing to have two lift points to be able to install things. I was thinking also
Throw the way
get about my business. And as with our motor mount development, we also came out with a few other little bits that we're going to show you as soon as we get this thing out of here. So let's just pull this front end off so we can go that way.
Yeah.
Seems easier, right?
You said to pull the front end off, so we can just go that way?
That's what I was thinking. All you do is
Pump up the jam. Pump it up.
Alright, so these are the mounting brackets that we developed, hence the Drift HQ on there. So these bolt up to the factory locations on the block where your original motor mounts go. They are curved this way to give you clearance for the downpipe, so I believe that most aftermarket downpipes are going to fit, but we're going to do a lot of testing and figuring that part out. They're also designed not to go directly to the cross member, so that way you can use either a solid mount, a poly mount, Delrin mount, whatever you want. So if it's more street car, you can kind of keep the OEM style mount in there so you have less vibration, or if you want to go full race car with like a Delrin or a solid mount, then that way at least you have less engine movement. So these B58 transmissions are expensive and they're hard to get your hands on, but PMC actually does make an adapter plate to allow you to use the N54 transmission, which is really strong, holds a lot of power, great for high revs. Now the only downside of that is you do have to space it out a little bit, so you might have to modify the trans cross member. We're going to figure that out once we get it into that car. An N54 trans you can usually get between $1,000 and $1,500. I just looked up on eBay and they're not that bad to get your hands on. Now another thing, while you're dropping these in, there are two fins that run right down here on the bottom of the pan that kind of go from corner to corner. You are going to have to shave those down and clearance them just to make sure you have enough space, because your stock cross member is going to sit right here, as well as on your steering shaft over here. There's this little loop that's part of the casting. I'm not exactly sure what it's for, but both E36 and E46 applications, because of how tight the motor sits here, you do have to shave that down, but that's really easy to get to, especially while your engine's out of the car. And then the other side, same story, motor mount bracket, bolts up stock location. Now one thing we're working on as well is this here. Originally they come with a water to oil cooler that's bolted up directly to the filter housing. Now these things run at a pretty high operating temperature, so it's better to run something where you can run an external oil cooler. So we're going to end up popping in like a Mishimoto cooler in the front of the car, and this just allows us to run two 10AN lines right off of this to a regular style oil cooler. So for aftermarket stuff it makes more sense, and also gives you a lot more room for your motor mounts and for whatever else you want to run, like, you know, lines to your rear mount radiator, whatever it is you're doing. So these were the original development mounts before they were produced. So obviously when you get them, they're not going to show up rusty and crusty. These are the E46 mounts, which we're obviously going to be using to put it into here. But these will show up with all your hardware, the spacers you need, and also be powder coated. Nice, fresh, clean. These ones say That one says E46. I guess you can't see it through the powder coat, but it is laser etched to tell you which side's left and which side's right. And this is just that piece here, off of the engine. It just bypasses all that stuff on the inside. Pretty cool little design. Then this is your transmission crossmember, which bolts up to the OEM location. And now with these dowels, these come along with the kit. One of them will go in the back corner of your transmission crossmember, because you'll see that the floorboard actually has a hump up. And then the two thicker ones are gonna go on the top of the passenger side motor mount, because there's a dip in the block, so it's easier and stronger if you just make that out of a flat plate. We'll show you that as we're putting them onto this motor. Yeah, so we just removed our OEM AC compressor, which obviously you can keep if you want to. There's different ways to do it. But we have a guy who's making these parts for us, which are actually going to allow us to bolt a Bosch power steering pump to these two factory bolt holes here. That works with the same pressure ratios as your OEM BMW rack does. So that way you don't have to figure out a whole power steering system yourself, because these cars come factory with electric power steering. So we are learning with you guys when it comes to these engines. IAT sensor you can see right there on the third cylinder. And if you look inside of there, there's a big old heat transfer in this thing. So the reason that they don't run an intercooler in the front of the car, we noticed that the charge pipe comes straight from the turbo right to the front of this throttle body. So now that makes sense. So we are gonna get rid of that in a perfect world and not deal with the potential of that thing cracking and filling our engine with water. Which I don't think is a common issue, but you know, if we can avoid it, that'd be great.
Oh, there. Like if something ever goes wrong there and it cracks that.
You know anything, we break things that aren't supposed to break normally.
Yeah.
Not us, but you know.
The people that drive the cars.
All the BMW peers just freaking out right now.
We're going to simplify the cooling system now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you're gonna see how much stuff I'm able to remove and still keep this cooling system working.
And cooler.
And cooler, because we're eliminating so much stuff that soaks heat. Like a perfect example is the heat transfer for the oil cooler. The oil temperatures, just off a quick Google search, they say to get to around 230 degrees under regular driving. Now when you're using your coolant, which runs at a lower temp to cool down your oil, now your oil is actually making your coolant hotter. So there's a lot of little things we're gonna get rid of.
What's your coolant operating temp in this? You looked that up too, right?
Yeah, it said like 225 is like regular operating temp.
Yeah. That's hot. That's hot for us. I don't like that.
I mean, even these motors do need to operate at a higher temperature than our other engines that we normally work with.
For peak performance.
Yeah, it just seals up the cylinders and rings and everything like that and makes them nice and happy. But if we can regulate the temperature to where we want, by, you know, controlling our fan and stuff, that definitely helps. Because we know one thing about drift cars.
They get hot.
They run hot. All right, as with reassembly of any car, fresh bushings is a must. Brake lines, a bunch of stuff for weight reduction as well. So we got a bunch of stuff here from Condor. So bushings made out of not Delrin, but UHMW. My favorite thing about these bushings is it has this little step lip on the insert. So when you put it in there, where some of them just have flat inserts, when your bolt and washer seals on here, it doesn't allow this center pin to slide up and down. Condor's also got a bunch of other cool stuff like our brake lines we're going to be using. So these are the extended E46 brake lines, which work with angle kits and everything like that. And then a one-piece line for the rear, whereas the factory setup has a very long, intricate piece that runs across the control arms. So it's nice to have that. We also have a whole rear window for it. So Crickett's in the middle of making a cool little block off for our speaker lid in the back. Once that's done, we can pop that bad boy in.
I'm almost done.
He's almost done.
Just doing the last little 3 plates that are going to hold up the back, and E46 has these little notches above the speaker deck, which are very inconvenient.
Speaker box.
So I made these little cappy cans. It's just going to hold up the back of the deck that I made, and then we're going to rivet it in on the top and then on the bottom.
It's a nice deck.
Yeah. I'm going to use self-tappers to set my holes.
Ooh.
Don't judge me.
I'm telling Dad. All right, so we've been plugging away at all the little stuff. We got a lot of bits from Condor we put on here, kind of focusing more on the suspension right now. Now, we did get involved a little bit with the cooling system, as well as, you know, getting the engine into the car. We are still working on a lot of variations on how we're going to get the cooling system to function without all of the factory ECU function. So we're going to kind of take you on that journey with us, because this is a new motor. We got a good recipe for the LSs and the 2Js, but this one we're still kind of figuring out as we go. So we're going to be collaborating with a few people to kind of figure out exactly how we can make this functional and to stay cold inside of this chassis, as opposed to, you know, where the original car has like 3 radiators in it. This guy right here is the heart of pretty much all of our cooling system headaches. You can see all of the ports and modules and fittings and valves and things like that in here. Essentially, there's 3 processes when this car is running. You have your cold startup, which bypasses the radiator. Then it has a operating temperature function where it's circulating coolant through the cylinder head and the block, because they're actually separated in this car, which is really strange. And then you have the maximum cooling efficiency mode, where it basically runs full flow coolant through the cylinder head and block, all going to the radiator. So that's ideally where we want to be. It's just a matter of adapting this valve to work without any electronics. So probably taking it apart and doing some kind of manual open valve inside of it that allows us to play with it and see what's going to work best for keeping the car cold.
It's going to be an interesting build. So stick with us. We're going to be doing all of the hard stuff to figure out what it takes to make the B58 run in a different chassis. So if this is something that you've been interested in the past and just haven't had anybody to do it first to figure out the kinks, we're here for you. We're gonna find out, we're gonna put it through the paces, you know, maybe break a lot of stuff on the way, we don't know, but we're gonna do all the hard work for you. So stay tuned for our next episode. We're gonna have more stuff putting into this car, and it's gonna be a ripper for Adam. Yeah, Adam's going B58. Way better than N54.
2-step process on this one.
Yeah, F around and find out. We're in the first part right now. So it's gonna be good. Like, subscribe, comment. Follow. Okay, I almost say shit. I need my helmet.